I am bummed to
Sports. ABC Sports College Football presents a Pac-10 matchup featuring the number 9 Huskies of Washington and the Oregon Ducks. And it's a gorgeous Saturday afternoon here in Eugene, Oregon, as the Washington Huskies get set to take the field for the 88th time against their rival from the Northwest, the Oregon Ducks. An important game for Oregon as we take a look at the Pac-10 standings right now. They are bunched with 4 other teams with 1 loss in the conference. They still have Rose Bowl hopes, while Washington, having a great year, still on probation, cannot win a Pac-10 championship. Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Gannon, along with John Spagnola. And, John, today a look at Washington's Napoleon Kaufman, one of the most exciting backs in the country. Every game, he seems to take one more step towards the Heisman Trophy.
That's right. In my opinion, Napoleon Kaufman will definitely be one of a handful of college football players sitting at the Downtown Athletic Club in New York, awaiting to hear his name called out as a Heisman Trophy winner. But, you know, what really impresses me about him is his selfless attitude and his willingness to put aside personal gain for the good of the football team.
Well, when you talk to him about himself, he always redirects the conversation. We asked him about his Heisman hopes.
I just really think that, I'm really concerned about winning games more than anything. A lot of times people say, hey, with the team glory comes the individual honors. I remember when we won the national championship, we had a lot of people receiving accolades and stuff like that. And right now, I'm just really concerned about winning, and hopefully the individual honors will come.
Well, Kaufman may be the marquee running back here this afternoon, but Oregon has a couple of backs who aren't too shabby either. Last week against Cal, Dino Filion and Ricky Whittle combined for 307 yards rushing. That's the best ever in Oregon history by 2 backs in one game, and they have to duplicate that effort here against a tough Husky defense.
And quarterback Danny O'Neill trying to get back to his form of last year. The Huskies and the Ducks. Kickoff coming up next.
The all-new Subaru Legacy. Some say it looks best in red. Others say in green. But perhaps it's best seen in white. Subaru all-wheel drive is the ultimate safety feature. It transfers power automatically from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip. So any sliding you do is strictly by choice. The all-weather, all-road, all-wheel drive Subaru Legacy. The beauty of all-wheel drive.
PageNet reminds you, life is a contact sport.
Has the plumber called back yet?
Want to get that?
No.
And it's a whole lot easier if you stay in contact.
Can you get that? Double cheese, extra pepperoni. Will somebody please get that?
Who knows more about staying in contact than PageNet, America's #1 wireless messaging company. Nobody gives you better coverage coast to coast.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran tastes so good, people forget it's nutritious. Why do you eat it?
Nutrition.
Good.
I'm a health nut.
Wheat Bran, I love it.
Wait a minute, is this true? 10% more raisins free?
Wow, more raisins?
We're talking about nutrition.
Free raisins? Ooh la la.
That's not important.
Yes, it is. Now Kellogg's Raisin Bran has 10% more raisins, absolutely free.
Forget what it says behind my hand.
10% more raisins. Free!
Don't miss Goodyear's Big Tire Sale and 25% savings on 4 of our most popular radials for passenger cars and light trucks. But you gotta hurry. The Big Tire Sale ends November 5th at participating Goodyear retailers.
Scott and Bob Edwards aren't particularly concerned about how to choose the right mutual funds. That's because they work with a broker from Dean Witter.
We measure success one investor at a time.
Welcome back to Autzen Stadium here in Eugene, Oregon. A sellout crowd of better than 40,000 here to see Washington in Oregon on a beautiful afternoon. 65 degrees. The fog that we had earlier today has lifted, and no forecast of rain at all. It's a very odd forecast for this part of the country, but it is just beautiful here today. Well, Washington won the coin toss, but they have deferred to the second half, so John Wales, a sophomore out of Kent, Washington, will get us underway. And back deep for Oregon, Ricky Whittle and Herman O'Berry. And it'll be O'Berry at his own 4. out to the 17 and just swarmed under by a number of tacklers for the Washington Huskies. Well, the guy who will lead the show for Oregon today, much maligned quarterback this year after having a great year last year. Danny O'Neal, one of 4 quarterbacks Pac-10 history to throw for over 3,000 yards. That was last year. He has struggled a bit this year, and he's had an injured finger. We'll talk more about that as we go on. Dino Filial, a guy who is a senior now and unexpectedly in this spot for Oregon, having a tremendous year as well. Willie Reif, the only man on that offensive line to start every game. They have been banged up, and they're very young. 1st and 10 at the 18 for Danny O'Neal and the Ducks. And perhaps a broken play, and he actually gains 2 yards on the play. Tackle made by David Ritchie on that defensive line, who's getting a late start today along with Steve Hoffman. You look at Ritchie in for Mike Iwaliko. That's a late change. And Ink Aliaga, David Kilpatrick, maybe the only linebacking tandem in the country that hails from Hawaii and Alaska, respectively.
Definitely a hot and cold linebacking core there in the middle.
I set you up perfectly, didn't I?
Thank you.
Russell Harrison, 3 picks last year against Oregon when Danny O'Neal was picked off 6 times in a loss. 2nd down and 8 at the 20-yard line. And Filial, the lone setback, can't get anywhere. He's thrown for a loss. David Ritchie, the man in there to make the tackle.
Well, I think we know why David Ritchie was inserted in the lineup in place of Mike Iwaliko this afternoon. Just a sophomore. He's 6'4", 265. First 2 plays of the game, though, there's been a bootleg on the first play, and he was in the backfield, and both plays took some time to develop. And Ritchie was able to take advantage of that and penetrate and make a big play.
So a loss of 4 on the play. It'll bring up 3rd down and 12. 3 receivers in. And O'Neal back to pass. And now scrambling to the 24 and stopped well short of the 1st down. He had no one open. That secondary of Washington had great coverage on that play.
Well, to his credit, him turning the ball over, he threw 6 interceptions last year against Washington, and he didn't want to make that same kind of mistake today, so he just took it down. He's going to let his team punt.
So 3 and out for the Ducks here on the first series. And that's something that's got to be on his mind, too. What happened last year. Cautious early on. Here's Matt Belden, a true freshman out of Glendale, Arizona, with the first punt of the game. And Leon Neal back at his own 39. Tries to find a seam and gets up to the 49-yard line. So a punt of 36 yards, a return of 10, and Leon Neal has his Huskies pumped up. And there's Damon Huard, a junior, and a guy who has really come along well this year. Really, with all the quarterbacks in the Pac-10, did not get the publicity that the Johnsons and the Stenstroms and the O'Neals got coming into the year, but he has been solid and has really increased his mental capacity at the quarterback spot and the way he reads defenses all year long. The coach is very happy with his progress. To throw on 1st down to the fullback Thomas over the middle and a gain of about 3. So they go to the fullback and they come out throwing on the first play.
Yeah, well, we talked to Bill Diedrich, the offensive coordinator, and he talked about the fact that we run about 70% on 1st down. When you have a guy like Napoleon Kaufman in the backfield, why not run that much? But they're going to change it up today.
Yeah, and Mark Bruner, an All-American tight end. He's got more passes than any other tight end in Washington history, and the guy you can count on the block as well. Frank Garcia anchors that offensive line, the center. And on 2nd down, straight ahead and to the 43-yard line of Oregon. Mark Schmidt with the tackle as Richard Thomas carries this time. Shalila Malapei, the leader on the defensive front. A big, strong player who really is vocal, a vocal leader for that crew. Jeremy Asher, just a solid linebacker, up for the Butkus Award. And Jeff Sherman, a 179-pound walk-on who has finally gotten a scholarship and a great story, the leading tackler on this team. 3rd down and 3 at the 43. And here's Kaufman for the first time, and he's got a 1st down. Napoleon Kaufman to the 38-yard line. Jeremy Asher on the tackle. And we touched on it before the ball game, John, how much this guy does for this offense. I mean, you want him to receive, he'll receive 369 yards. You want him to return punts and kicks, Oh, what the heck? He'll do that as well. Over 1,000 yards in terms of returning kicks and punts. Rushing yards, the all-time leading rusher in Washington history. And all-purpose during his career, well over 5,000 yards. And we have a flag down as the Huskies came to the line. But you don't see many upperclassmen still returning kicks and punts if you're Napoleon Kaufman. Usually the young guys do that.
Dead ball. False start offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Chuck McFerrin, the referee, and you're right. You don't see a lot of seniors doing that. Usually younger players do that, but Jim Lambright talked to Napoleon Kaufman, said, you know, what can you do better to be a higher drafted pro next year? One thing was to improve his strength, but also to add an element of versatility. He can help a professional football team returning, receiving, doing all sorts of things, and he's really turned into a complete football player for this Washington team.
1st and 15 now for the Huskies. And there's Bjornsson. He had it in his hands and drops it. Huard had Bjornsson at the 18-yard line between defenders, and he just dropped the football.
Yeah, it was a good throw by Huard. Bjornsson is going to run a thin post, they call this. He'll break it about 10 yards to the post. There's a seam here between the cornerback, and the ball is perfectly delivered by Huard. But, of course, when you have number 32, Jeff Sherman, heading toward your midsection, it's harder to concentrate on that ball. And keep in mind, Bjornsson's a taller receiver, a taller target, and that ball was thrown a little bit low for him, but he definitely should have gone down and made the catch.
6'5", 215 pounds, a big target for Huard. 2 tight ends now in the set for Washington on 2nd and 15. And there's Janoski, and he is close to a first down and may have it. Dave Janoski, a sophomore out of Corona, California, a gain of 17, and they'll move the chains.
Well, Janoski only caught 8 balls going into this game, and we were told by Diedrich that he'd probably be a figure as a better part in this offense today. A lot of crossing patterns. You see Janoski coming from left to right in the middle. Huard has time from his offensive line, and he's able to find him, as the offensive line did a great job creating the time that Huard needed to complete that pass.
And Washington has come out throwing. They threw on the first play of the game. Because they had 2nd and 15 on that last play. But they pick up the first down. Here's Napoleon Kaufman. Look at the speed to the outside. And a gain of about 4 on the play. Jeff Sherman in once again to make the tackle. Now, you talk about Jeff Sherman. Here's a guy who in high school played quarterback. He was about 150 pounds in high school. Did not get a scholarship. He walked on here. His father played here. And he almost transferred a couple of years ago because he wasn't getting playing time. They award him with a scholarship, and now he's the leading tackler on the team.
And he's a bright student, too. I mean, he's the kind of kid that, as a coach, you just fall in love with because he hung in there, and now he's getting some playing time as a senior, and he's doing a great job for the Ducks.
2nd and 7. Here's Kaufman again. Nowhere to run.
And that's got this defense fired up. Jordan made the play, but Jeff Sherman, who we were just talking about, flashed in the backfield and forced Kaufman to break it back inside.
Reggie Jordan with the stick, and he just didn't have a lane here, John.
It's a delay play. They pull a tight end around, but see right there, Sherman flashes, and as Kaufman breaks it inside, Jordan makes the play, and this is the kind of situation, of course, Oregon wanted to force Washington into, and that's 3rd and long.
3rd down and 8 at the 25. Back to pass is Huard. Janoski broken up, and there's a flag on the play right about the 17-yard line.
Yeah, I don't know what the flag is, but that was a great hit by Sherman, who has made 3 plays in a row in the backfield and now all the way downfield to dislodge the ball from the receiver.
Alex Molden and Sherman on the coverage, and see if we can see the hit by Jeff Sherman. Remember, he's 179
right from the left
pounds.
side here.
Oh. Now, we already saw Bjornsson pull up on a pass pattern.
15-yard penalty at the previous spot. Still 3rd down.
So offensive pass interference, and that will back up the Huskies even further. And Jim Lambright can't be happy about the way things have gone early with his offense here.
I don't know if Janoski pushed off, but I know that Ernie Conwell, the tight end 82, was running a pattern across the middle, and usually tight ends get involved in banging around with people. That's where the interference may be called from. So Oregon with a nice defensive effort. Now they push the Huskies way back here as they try and convert this 3rd down.
3rd and a bus ride here. And here comes the blitz. Huard to run. And down at the 29-yard line, Chad Cota stopped him there, well short of the first down.
Well, I think Lambright has a decision here if he's going to punt or try a field goal or even go for it on third down. He's bringing his place kicker, John Wales, on, so he's going to try a long field goal. Now, with the blitz here, as soon as Huard breaks through, there's people locked in man coverage. Only Cota 7 saw that play, and he was able to come up and make the tackle because he was locked in double coverage on the wide receiver.
It'll be a 47-yard attempt for John Wales. And that is his longest on the year. He's 10 out of 16, as you see. A low kick. And no good. Wide to the left. So the Ducks hold on the opening possession. And they have the momentum.
Just for you, a taste you'll find in no other beer at any price. Beechwood Aged Budweiser.
It's always been true.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Original and cooling blue.
By Menon.
My dandruff and itch are awful. I'll try anything. Denorex tingles. Head and Shoulders doesn't.
Both have effective dandruff medicine, but Denorex has something extra that tingles, feels fresh.
That's why I started using Denorex. No flakes, no itch.
Denorex, the serious dandruff shampoo.
Come on, sweetheart.
Your first big snow, Joey. Here he comes.
Joey doesn't care that inside is the world's most energy-efficient furnace.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
Or that Carrier can save up to 40% annually on heating.
Look at him. He loves it.
All he cares about is how warm and comfy Carrier keeps it inside.
Joe?
If you care about energy efficiency and saving money, call your Carrier dealer.
Turn the knob, Joey.
Carrier, we're the inside guys.
Brando Cunningham has the Eagles flying high, but the Oilers want to bring them back down to earth. Houston meets Philly on ABC's Monday Night Football.
So the Washington Huskies come up empty on their first drive, and a look at Rich Brooks. He's been here 18 years as the head coach of the Oregon Ducks. And, John, we talked to him yesterday about what his team needed to do to win today.
Well, one thing you can't do, you see this, an average of 5 turnovers a year in this football game, and this is a big rivalry. He said it's going to come down to field position, and we can't turn the ball over. Keep in mind, Washington deferred and kicked off, trying to force Oregon, and just that, turning the football over again in this game.
Ricky Whittle in the backfield now, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Blake Spence, the backup tight end. Timing route that was mistimed.
Yeah, Spence looked like he was counting his steps as he's talking to O'Neill about where exactly he wanted to break that out. He had single coverage. Spence is turning into a good receiver. You know, the Oregon offense is going to rely on their tight ends a lot today because they have 2 good tight ends in Wilcox and Spence, but they also are decimated with injuries at wide receiver.
Yeah, they lost 2 of their top receivers before the season began, or right at the beginning of the season. And here's the give to the tailback, Ricky Whittle, and he's across the 35, maybe to the 36-yard line. First time that he has carried the ball. Lawyer Malloy, the free safety, came up to make the hit.
Whittle had 177 yards rushing last week against Cal. He's been nursing a sore hamstring, so it's good to see him in the lineup today for Oregon because it gives this team a real good 1-2 punch.
Whittle, a junior out of Fresno, California. He's in the backfield now with Dwayne Jones on 3rd down and 4. And there's Jones straight ahead. Maybe gets a yard, but that's it. That Oregon defense, Washington defense, excuse me, is very tough to run on. Donovan Schmidt made the tackle.
Well, Oregon was trying to spread out the offense there and then sneak the fullback up the middle, but this man, David Ritchie, has made a number of big plays early in this football game, playing quite well for the Huskies.
Now, I'm not sure they're going to be able to run the ball straight ahead against Washington unless they're able to spread that defense out. I think Danny O'Neill has got to have a good day throwing the ball to open it up. Belden with his second kick of the afternoon, and here's Leon Neal again At his own 25. Still on his feet to the 38-yard line. So a punt of 39 yards and a return of 13, and that's where Washington will start.
The all-new Subaru Impreza Coupe has dual airbags and crumple zones to help you survive accidents. But its real beauty is helping you avoid them. Subaru all-wheel drive is the ultimate safety feature, transferring power automatically from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip. It's the kind of safety no one can afford to be without. And at this price, no one has to be. Just $179 a month gets you a beautiful lease on an all-wheel drive Impreza Coupe.
Financial concerns, medical problems, anxiety about the future. 50 million Americans turn for help to one particular company, a company whose sole purpose has always been to bring them to a different state of mind. Peace of mind, security, protection, optimism. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
College football on ABC Sports is brought to you by Beechwood Age Budweiser. It's always been true, this Bud's for you. The 25th anniversary diamond necklace for a brilliant celebration of your loving marriage. American Airlines, something special in the air. And Carrier, we're the inside guys. Well, better than 44,000 here at Autzen Stadium, and a young one there enjoying what's taken place so far. Still no score, but the Oregon defense stopping the Washington drive. Missing the field goal was John Wales, and here they take over once again on their own 39-yard line. The play fake, and out to Thomas, the fullback. Still on his feet, but now knocked out of bounds. Gain of 3, that's about it.
Richard Thomas, the guy who came up big in that Miami game that was so important. Washington, of course, broke that streak. But since that time, the second half of Miami, look at this. The second half of Miami is at 2.5 game point. He had 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions up to then. And since then, he has settled in and played some outstanding football with 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions the rest of the way so far into the season. And it's all, as you said, a full understanding of the offense, knowing what his offensive coordinator, Bill Dietrich, is trying to get out of every play.
And confidence, too. I mean, you stopped the long winning streak at the Orange Bowl. I think this team started to believe in itself. Here's Huard out of the pocket and has the first down across midfield to the 48-yard line. Well, tonight on the ABC Family Movie, John Ritter is a parent with his hands more than full in Problem Child 2. Then, will a good cop turn dirty? An all-new commish. That's tonight on ABC.
What happened to Ritter's face? Somebody's got his face in a vice. It's like he caught a pass against this Oregon defense and got sandwiched.
Three's more than company. 6:26 and counting here in the first. Still no score. And the Huskies with a first down at the 49, straight ahead once again to the fullback. And that is Thomas. Gets a couple. The stop made by Richard Rule. Here's a guy, Richard Thomas, from Kent, Washington. Just a class away from a history degree at Washington. Is dyslexic. Had to work awfully hard in terms of his school, and really has come a long way. And it's come a long way for this team. Just a hard worker.
And you can see the design of the offense today is to use him, take some of the heat off of Kaufman. You get this defense bunched up thinking about Thomas, and look out, all of a sudden Kaufman's going to break one on the outside.
2nd and 7. 2 tight end set. Conwell and Bruner in. And here comes the rush, and it's thrown away. The intended receiver, Ernie Conwell, but Huard had no time to throw the football.
Well, you know, that's simply a case with Nick Aliotti outfoxing Bill Dietrich. He had the right defense called, bringing Chad Cota on the blitz, and when you try and bootleg into a blitz, that's a tough thing to do. But to Huard's credit, he turned around, recognized it quickly, and got rid of the football. This is actually not a bootleg. It's a naked, and when you're naked, this is what happens. Boom. Coda's right there, 7-on-7, but Huard got rid of the football to avoid the sack.
They're down and 7 at the 45. Huard to throw again. Here's Kaufman out of the backfield. And a one-on-one tackle on the outside by Rich Rule. What a tackle.
That's an excellent tackle. Got all that football field for one of the most exciting running backs in all of college football. And when you're able to make that tackle in the open field, you've done yourself an outstanding job. There's Kaufman in the single back. Now, Nova, just the tight end, is out on the left to clear out. They get the ball to Kaufman. He's got some room to work, and you know this guy's one of the quickest guys you'll ever see. But he didn't quite get going, and Rule, to his credit, took the inside out, used the sideline, and made a good tackle.
It's one that Rule will want a picture of later on. So Washington to punt for the first time. Jeff Prince takes the high snap, and Herman O'Berry at his 9. Sidesteps one tackle, still on his feet, to the 14-yard line. And that's where Oregon will start. A punt of 37 yards. O'Berry brought it back 4 yards. Still no score, 4-35 in the first.
I don't say this to many people, but the job we do is the most important job I can think of.
Okay, guys, listen up.
I mean, there's no such thing as a B-plus mechanic on this airline.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Even the most junior mechanic can keep an airplane in this hangar if there's a hint of a problem. We might think a job like this would become routine, but every now and then, I just take a walk through the terminal, and right there, you see what's important.
If you don't replace your air and oil filters regularly, you might as well drive your car off a cliff, because dirt can really mess up an engine. Fram Extra Life air filters and Fram Extra Guard oil filters keep out dirt best to protect your engine. Fram, America's #1 premium brand. Pay a little now or a lot later. Get a $2 rebate on Fram air filters at participating retailers.
Hundreds of natural forces may affect the survival of your business. And hundreds of companies may say they are as good as AT&T. But only AT&T guarantees that if your long-distance service ever goes down, it'll be back in minutes, not hours. Only our network gives every call a choice of up to 134 routes, so your calls get through, even when you can't.
Hi, I heard the phones were down out there.
Not mine.
AT&T, for the life of your business.
On October 8th, Napoleon Kaufman was named the Sports Illustrated Offensive Player of the Week when he rushed for 254 yards, including this 76-yard touchdown versus San Jose State. Now, Napoleon, 3 games of more than 200 yards this year, but so far he has not been able to do much against this Oregon defense.
He's had 3 rushes for only 7 yards so far in this game.
So 1st and 10 at their own 14 for the Ducks. Kulo Malapei straight ahead, the fullback out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Gets maybe a yard or so. Well, coming up next Saturday on ABC Sports, a college football doubleheader. 9 a.m. Pacific, battle the unbeaten's #3 Colorado against #2 Nebraska live. Following that matchup, a line of regional action. Check your local listings for the game in your area and call your cable operator for the games available on pay-per-view. It's all next Saturday here on ABC Sports.
I bet Penn State was watching that Ohio State score today. You know, Penn State had a bye, and Ohio State is beaten up on Purdue. Last I saw it was 48-7, so that should be an interesting matchup in the Big Ten.
Purdue's had a pretty good year. I mean, a lot of people thought they were solid. 2nd and 9, O'Neal out of the shotgun. Looking down the sideline for Patrick Johnson. And out of bounds, Pat Johnson, a true freshman out of Redlands, California, with world-class speed.
Yeah, he's run as fast as a 10.19. It was wind-aided in the 100-meter. I mean, it had to be a great win. But he's really about the 10.4, 10.5 range. He competed overseas in the Junior Olympic Championships in Portugal, in Lisbon, Portugal this year. He can run. He's just learning to become a wide receiver, though, and that's something that you can take these track runners and turn them into receivers. but they think he's going to be a good one here at Oregon.
3 receivers in, and O'Neal out of the shotgun now. And flags and whistles, and everybody stops. Well, we touched on it a moment ago, the receivers for Oregon. One of the reasons Danny O'Neal has not had the year so far that he had last year is because he's throwing to all new people out there. And you've got a Corey Murphy who's injured.
Ball start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And they're pushed back 5 yards. Corey Murphy, who's injured, has got a spinal condition. He is out for the year. In fact, his career is done. You look at Graziani, the backup quarterback, with an ankle injury. Macklemore, the #1 receiver coming into this season, out as well. Bob Baldwin, the guard, and Steve Harden, maybe the frontline guy on this team. Maybe an All-American at some point. He is out as well. They hope he'll be back next week, if not the week after. Now Alpei on the right side gets 2 or 3 yards. Richie Chambers there to make the stop.
Yeah, and we saw Richard Brooks there. He certainly does not want to turn the football over, but this is the 3rd possession for Oregon in this game, and it's been 3 and out 3 times. So they are somewhat bedeviled by bad field position, and I think he feels that his defense is playing well enough to maybe create turnovers itself, but right now he's losing the field position game that he said was so important.
They've only scored 16 points in the last 3 games against Washington, so they need to get some offense going. Belvin his 3rd punt, and he hits a beauty. This is going to send Neal back to his own 26-yard line where he falls.
Well, that's how you get field position. You get your punter to hit a 57-yarder, and then you get Leon Neal to fall down as he catches the ball. And he just got the field position back with the aid of his punter's strong leg. What a great hit by Matt Belden.
Well, Belden hits a 57-yarder, and I just think Neal was going back so fast, he had a backpedal that he lost his footing. Yeah, he just tripped.
He's got those 2 feet caught together right at the very end, and that's the old AstroTurf injury. I should say OmniTurf injury, and that's what this substance is here. But
well, the OmniTurf has sand underneath, and a lot of opposing players don't like it. Here's Kaufman trying the left side, and he's out to the 29-yard line. Reggie Jordan makes the stop, and let's take you from the Northwest out to New York and John Saunders. John?
All right, thanks a lot, Terry. Southern against Alcorn State, and the debate rages on. Should Steve McNair win the Heisman Trophy? Well, he's winning a lot of respect, scrambling here for 22 yards and a 1st down. Alcorn leads Southern 29-14, but with this scramble, he passes Ty Detmer to become the all-time Division I leader in total offense. Terry.
John, thanks. And John Spagnuolo, I want to ask you about the Liberty Bowl and all the controversy there. After this play, I want to get your opinion on whether or not they should have allowed Alcorn State to play in that. Huard wants a timeout on 2nd down and 7 at the 30. And so he will come to the sidelines and talk to Jim Lambright about that.
Final score, Miami 38, West Virginia 6.
Doc says she's got to get that operation within a week or she doesn't have a chance.
He can save his wife's eyesight with dirty money.
You've had a great career, John. Don't spoil it by doing something you don't have to do.
Will Tony turn him in or turn the other way? The Commish, Saturday on ABC.
Sunday on Lois and Clark. Everything super with Lois and the Man of Steel. Until an international crime ring led by Peter Boyle and Bruce Weiss tries to take over the world. Now Superman has to go undercover. An all-new Lois and Clark, Sunday on ABC.
No score, 2:08 left in the 1st quarter here in Eugene. And now, what about Steve McNair in a bowl game? They don't play Division 1A teams, obviously, and you have to have 6 wins to go to a bowl game. Do you think he should have been allowed?
Well, it's a tough situation when you come from Division I AA. When you talk about McNair and, the abilities he's had this year and all the great football players that come out of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I mean, when you look at the NFL all-time 75-year history team, a lot of the players came out of there. So McNair, I think, should have his due in a bowl game. But, he's also mentioned with the Heisman Trophy, and that's a situation I think that has also led to an awful lot of heated debate about whether or not he should indeed qualify for the Heisman Trophy. I personally think he definitely is going to win the Walter Payton Award for the best Division I AA player, but I'm not so sure whether he should qualify as a Heisman Trophy candidate or a winner.
2nd and 7, and here's Hewitt to throw. He's got Bjornsson wide open on the near sideline. Out to the 40-yard line and a first down for the Huskies. Well, Eric Bjornsson, 6'5", 215 pounds, and you have watched him a number of times. You've had Washington before, and you watch him run, and he doesn't pop your eyes out, but then you see him wide open 5 or 6 times every game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he averages 75 yards a game. He's a former quarterback. He started the last 3 games at quarterback last year for Washington. And if you want a guy in sync with your quarterback, it's a former quarterback. So he knows how to get open. He knows where to get open. And Huard and he are just on that same wavelength together.
Napoleon Kaufman dancing up the middle, and he's going to break it. He's got one man to beat. And Molden runs him down at the 25-yard line. And the first look, perhaps, at the speed and the ability of Napoleon Kaufman on a 37-yard run.
This guy is an 8-ounce bottle of non-refundable excitement. He gets a great hole up the middle. Good blocking by Patrick Kessie, 54. Look at the move and look at the acceleration. And with all great backs, they have the vision. And once he got through the hole, he's able to burst to the outside. And Alex Muldoon made a great job just being able to track him down and run him out of bounds. But it was, you know, you watch Kaufman and he gets bottled up and bottled up. He only had 3 carries for 7 yards. At some point, he's always going to break out.
Leon Neal now in the backfield. Napoleon came off. He was limping a little bit. And they're going to work on him on the sideline. Here is Neal, and he's hitting the backfield. No gain. Right at the line of scrimmage. Richard Rule made the tackle. Here's Kaufman on the sideline. Looks like the right leg.
Yeah, there's been, yeah, he's checking his knee out, and he looks the way he's hunched over there, rocking back and forth. He's in a bit of pain.
Here's a guy who's been able to play with pain against UCLA. He hurt the shoulder, and at halftime didn't know whether he could go or not. He came out and had a big second half. Take a look, see if we can catch it.
Looks fine up to this point. Let's see if that right leg gets caught underneath him. Very, very, yeah, it may have. It could just be a bruise. I mean, he looks like he got scraped and his knee's already bandaged, and that may just be a continuing AstroTurf burn.
And his right arm they're wrapping up as well. 2nd down and 10 for Huard. Dave Janoski, the intended receiver, incomplete. Coverage out there by Kenny Wheaton. But there is a flag on the play.
Yeah, well, you know, when you get AstroTurf burns, they never go away. I mean, those burns and those scrapes will go away sometime around maybe May of next year.
I think if I played on AstroTurf, I'd cover my whole body. I mean, at some point, you're right. Those burns have to be, you can't avoid them.
Dead ball, delay a game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
So another penalty backs up Jim Lambright's club. They had an offensive pass interference penalty early on in the first quarter that really sent them back and almost out of field goal range. And in fact, John Wales missed a 46-yard field goal attempt.
Well, this team came into the game with only averaging 6 penalties a game, so they already have a couple here that hurt their offensive field position.
Look at how banged up Huard is already. He's been under pressure so far in the first. 2nd and 15. Over the middle, and at the 21-yard line is Fred Coleman, a redshirt freshman out of Tyler, Texas.
Coleman is a speedy receiver. He's a guy that was redshirted last year, even though he could have been very helpful to this offense. But he, you know, he definitely helped out the team moving the football here. If he had the ball a little higher, he could have made more yards.
The end of the first, no score here in Eugene.
When young policyholders come to me, I look at them and think, boy, that was me 15 years ago. I remember very well how quickly things changed for Debbie and me. Marriage, children, our first house. It's exactly why State Farm's family insurance checkups are such a good idea. Your agent helps you put it all in perspective so you can make the right decisions. The way you were 5 years ago is not the way you are today. It's comforting to me when I can say to my policyholders, hey, I've been there.
State Farm is there.
Whoever said now is the winter of our discontent never stood behind our windows. Owens Corning. We make the difference.
People are much more satisfied than they have been in the past. Now with quality care standards, we have some guidelines to follow. This is what the customers want. They want to have their appointment within a day. They want to have their car fixed right the first time. This is them speaking. Anything we can do to make it better. It's not just meeting the standards that people are setting for us, but exceeding them. Something we're doing is working.
Quality care people, quality care standards at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer.
If men weren't meant to fly, they wouldn't have put our Advantex fiber in skis. Owens Corning. We make the difference.
Welcome back to Autzen Stadium here in Eugene, Oregon. Terry Gannon along with John Spagnola. They are out in full force. And a lot of Washington Husky fans here, too. This is a long-time rivalry in the Northwest. As you look at the first quarter stats very quickly. And a big play coming up for the Huskies here. 3rd and 7. Huard to throw. And throws it away. No one was open.
Again, credit Nick Aliotti, who is the defensive coordinator here at Oregon. Again, he brought the safety blitz, and he forced Huard to get rid of the football. Huard is just going to, again, not give up the sack so he can get some field position for his place kicker, John Wales. But Oregon is doing an outstanding job. There's Nick Aliotti, who's just a dynamic guy to meet with and very excited about the potential for his defense. And they are playing well. They're 15th against the rush this year. That's in the nation, ranked 15th.
Last 3 games have been terrific against the rush. 38-yard field goal attempt for Wales. And it is good. So Washington gets on the board, but Oregon again with a tough defense stops them down near their own goal line. Back after this.
These days, anyone can design and build a car with the quality and features you want. And the safety you need. That's easy. We designed and built the all-new 1995 Lumina. So most people can afford it. And that's what makes the new Lumina a genuine Chevrolet.
It could only come from here. Canada, the home of ice. Molson Ice. Ice brewed by North America's oldest brewery to be colder and bolder. Yet smooth as ice. Molson Ice. From the land where ice was born.
Wow. Look at the size of this place. A guy who didn't know what he was doing could sure get himself in a lot of trouble here. But hey, I'm sure you'll pick one out. I mean, how hard could it be? Like these guys, they used to make a heck of a movie projector. And anyway, if something does go wrong, I'm sure a handy guy like you can probably just fix it yourself. But as long as you're here, maybe you ought to just look at an IBM.
It's the ultimate Big East battle. National title hopes and the conference crown are on the line when Colorado tackles Nebraska. It's part of the special doubleheader next Saturday on ABC.
The Huskies on top in a low-scoring game so far with the 38-yard field goal by John Wales. And they will pick it up. You look at the scoring drive, 7 plays, 52 yards. Of course, the big one, the 37-yard run by Napoleon Kaufman. Ricky Whittle at his own 2. And has his seam to midfield, to the far sideline.
Let's see if his hamstring holds up.
Whittle out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Tony Parrish finally got there to push him out of bounds, but Ricky Whittle with an 85-yard kickoff return, and he has got this place on its feet.
You know, when you see a guy with a hamstring problem running that far down the field, you worry about the fatigue of it. But watch how he bobbles the football here right now. I was concerned right there that he was going to get too far behind his wedge blockers and get tackled right there by the two safeties coming through, but he had the speed to get up to his first line of blockers. Then he broke through, and here's where it's just all speed. The one cutback is what enabled the Husky defense to finally track him down. But this is an electrifying return, and just what Oregon need is they have great field position now on the Husky 13-yard line.
Yeah, that's a guy who's been in and out of the lineup throughout the year with a hamstring injury. He had an eye injury earlier on in the year. So 1st and 10 at the 13 now. And here's Philyaw bouncing off the tackle inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. And Danny O'Neil wanting to have a good game against Washington. He hasn't yet.
My games against Washington have been quite miserable. 2 years ago here, when they were ranked #1, I believe, I threw a couple of interceptions, one on the 10-yard line right here. That cost us some points, and they ended up beating us, and we were kind of in that game up to the end. And then last year was just a nightmare. With the weather conditions, the wind, the rain kind of got to me, and they played really good and intercepted me quite a few times. So personally, this is my last time against Washington, and they've always played good against me and beat me up, so this is my last opportunity.
Dino Philyaw with a touchdown run, and Oregon has taken the lead.
Well, Danny O'Neil talked about that 10-yard line. That's right around where his team was, as Philyaw takes it in from 8 yards away. Again, good blocking up front. The counter play. Look at it. Big Malapei. There he is coming around and sealing not one but two blockers. And that allows Philyaw to get around the out. Now watch him lunge for the end zone. Right here is where he gets that touchdown, extending that football over that imaginary plane that you hear so much at the goal line.
Well, we talked about the tailback tandem for Oregon. And Whittle takes it back inside the 20 on the kickoff. And now Philyaw with a tough run to the corner of the end zone, his 7th touchdown run of the year. Belden in for the point after, and that is good. And the Oregon Ducks have taken the lead 7-3 with 13:50 left in the second quarter.
About 65 miles south of the nearest stoplight, and 2 miles up in the Rocky Mountain sky, you'll find skier's heaven, also known as Telluride Ski Mountain, where the skiing's perfect and the views are even better. And whether you're going to extremes or just going for a lesson, don't go without your Visa card, because at Telluride Ski Mountain, they'll let you take the plunge, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
You started putting money away for my college when I was little, right?
Smartest thing I ever did.
I guess I gotta start thinking about stuff like that.
Talk to my guy, Payne Weber. He got you through college.
Broker? Do I want to be in stocks right now?
I thought the same thing when I started saving for you. But he showed me if I was looking long-term, and the only place to be is in the market.
And he'll know that's what I'm looking for.
He'll know. Because he'll ask.
Some things in life you have to wait for. A car of your dreams shouldn't be one of them. The Chevy Camaro. 2 airbags, fuel-injected V6, anti-lock brakes. It's $14,750 worth of genuine Chevrolet.
And the scenery looks even better right now to the Oregon fans as you're overlooking Eugene. And there are about 50,000 bikes here in Eugene. One for every 2 citizens. About 200,000 people live in the Eugene area.
Well, they have the terrain here to do some mountain biking, some beautiful vistas as you go around the countryside here.
Oregon takes the lead 7-3 on the 86-yard return from Whittle and a touchdown run by Philyaw. Matt Belden to kick it off, but we just saw a picture of a man who can take one back as well. Napoleon Kaufman deep for Washington. It'll be Rashawn Sheehy. Hit at the 22 and stopped there. Ryan Collins made the tackle, and it was a hard one. And Monday night ABC Sports heads to Veterans Stadium Randall Cunningham, Herschel Walker have turned the Eagles around, and they're trying to keep pace with the Cowboys in the NFC East. They'll host the Houston Oilers live at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC's Monday Night Football. The old stomping grounds of John Spagnuolo.
That's right. Randall Cunningham, an old teammate of mine, was embarrassed last week against Dallas through 4 interceptions, and I'm sure he wants to atone for that this Monday night. He always plays well on Monday Night Football.
Spotlight is on. Hewitt to Kaufman. Going nowhere again. And I'll tell you what, at the line of scrimmage, Kaufman had the big 37-yard run, but the defensive line of Oregon doing a great job containing and the linebackers coming up.
Not only that, Paul Jensen came up and made the tackle. The safeties have been very active. You know, on this defense, the 2 safeties, Jeff Sherman and Chad Cota, are the leading tacklers, and I think it may be wise to go play action. It's the one thing that scared this Oregon defensive coaches when we talked to them yesterday. It's another thing that Bill Dietrich had talked about as an offensive coordinator, something he had to do during the game.
2nd and 9 for Hewitt. Going to Bjornsson, and it's picked off at the 28. Alex Molden with the interception brings it back to the 15-yard line.
You know, Alex Molden started as a freshman. Last year he had a knee injury, and he didn't play up to the levels he did 2 years ago, but he is back where he was as a freshman. You will see him as Huard drops back, throwing to your left on the screen. See if this ball is behind the receiver a little bit. Yes, it is, just a little bit behind. But Alex Molden on a great break on the football. Bjornsson, again, they like to throw outs to the big target, and actually that ball was not that poorly thrown. I can't fault Huard. I just have to say Molden read the play and made a terrific break on the football.
Great speed when he is healthy. His 2nd interception of the year. They mark it at the 19-yard line. And here's Ricketts. Cameron Ricketts inside the 5 to the 3. Deep Devers, a defensive end, finally stopped him, but not before. Dammer and Ricketts took it to the 3-yard line.
Excellent design of a screenplay. Watch O'Neal. He rolls to the right just a little bit, gets rid of the football. It's the hardest thing to do. Watch 71 bury the tackler. That was Lawyer Malloy, who actually slipped underneath Eric Reed. That was probably a wise decision by Malloy to get underneath that block, because Eric Reed had a head of steam up. But Ricketts with a nice play. And again, Oregon is here knocking on the door.
Gain of 17 on the play. Dwayne Jones and Ricky Whittle in the backfield. And they give it to Whittle, and he's going to get to the end zone. Ricky Whittle on a 3-yard run, and the Ducks are rolling here in Eugene.
Lambright knows he's in for a dogfight this afternoon in this rivalry in the Pacific Northwest. Watch number 71, the pulling guard. That's Eric Reed again. He'll come around and lock on to Richie Chambers, 32. That helps clear it out, as did the lead block by the fullback. So Whittle making some things happen. He wasn't able to score when he set up good field position last time, but he gets the score here.
And still talking on the sidelines. Matt Belden in again for the point after, and he nails it. And with 12:33 left in the 2nd quarter, the Oregon Ducks 14-3 over Washington.
At Chevrolet, we feel everyone, regardless of income, deserves a safe car. That's why we equip the all-new Lumina LS with dual airbags, anti-lock brakes, side guard door beams, child security rear door locks. Sure, anyone can build a car like this. That's easy. We build it so most people can afford it. That's genuine Chevrolet.
Une étude français. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Oui.
Oui.
Non. Cuisine.
Cuisine.
L'étude continuera, alors à demain à 8 heures.
No one knows if the mind rules the body or the body rules the mind. The University of Oregon encourages both. In addition to 18 Rhodes Scholars, 203 Fulbright Scholars, and 2 Nobel Prize winners, 10 of our 78 Olympic competitors won medals in their events. So whether the mind or the body is more important just depends on what circles you run in.
And a look at the Oregon campus here in Eugene. A lot of hikers in this area. Great setting for bicycles. And this is what a football Saturday is like in this part of the country. And I think maybe there were some bratwursts out in the parking lot, 1 or 2. Buddy of John Spagnola's here in attendance at Autzen Stadium. And I wouldn't call this a shocker, but it's a bit surprising. 14-3 the lead as you look at the first 5 possessions. One of the reasons why.
Look at that field position on the last 2, the 13 and 19-yard line. That is, again, what Rich Brooks talked about, and he's exactly right. The field position was going to be a key factor in this game and not turning the ball over, and that's what Oregon has done so far to take the lead in this game.
Napoleon Kaufman at his own 14. Across the 30, look at him go to the 37-yard line. I'll tell you what, that guy's got a different gear. I mean, you think he is stopped or at least slowed down, all of a sudden, boom. 24-yard return for Kaufman.
I think what's so amazing about him, too, is watch the acceleration. Watch his ability. By his first step, he's already at full speed. Now, he catches the ball here. Now, he's going to have to weave and work in and out. He's got terrific lateral speed, but right here, he's got to stop. Now, watch him accelerate. I mean, not many players can do that. I mean, he just accelerates so quickly that he just runs away from tacklers.
So good field position for Washington here at their own 38-yard line. Play action, Huard out of the backfield to Richard Thomas, the fullback, still on his feet to the 49. And close to a first down. Tackle made by Troy Bailey, the defensive end. And next Sunday, the PGA Tour's top money winners take aim for season-ending honors at the historic Olympic Club in California. It's the Tour Championship. Final round action begins at 2 Pacific right here on ABC Sports. And my partner has torn up that club once or twice.
There's a few divots there. The last time I was in town. I think they've grown back by now, though.
Gain of 11 on the first down pass. You saw Huard's numbers so far. So, 1st and 10 at their own 49. Bjornsson down the sideline. He's got it. At the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Washington. How about the quick hit from Huard to Bjornsson? 51 yards on the pass.
Well, you know, when you look at Bjornsson, you don't expect him to be a deep threat. Last week, though, he had caught 9 balls for 119 yards, and he has the uncanny ability to get open. You'll see Jeff Sherman's 32 flash right here as he tries to drive the football, but his angle was poor to the football. Kenny Wheaton beaten in coverage, number 20, and Bjornsson takes it into the end zone, so Washington gets right back in this game with a quick strike.
So here's Wales on for the point after. And he splits the uprights with it. We've got a good one going on. You look at Bjornsson, the 6'5" receiver, and watch Kenny Wheaton on the coverage, and he gets no help from Sherman, or at least the help is late.
Well, it's a 2-deep coverage, and Sherman's got to come over the top. That's why Wheaton was looking into the backfield early in the play. Sherman took a bad angle to the football. You know, your rule when you're a safety in that situation is no deeper, no wider. He got deeper and wider and scored the touchdown.
Look at Bjornsson's numbers for the touchdown. John mentioned he was a quarterback last year, played the last 3 games of the season, and actually had a 2-1 record.
Yes.
Well, at the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a genuine Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. And for the 24th year, through the Chevrolet Scholarship Program, $1,000 will be donated to the General Scholarship Fund of each school.
You know, what's interesting about Bjornsson is that at the end of the season, he met with Jim Lambright, and they sat down, and neither one of them wanted the Bjornsson to play quarterback in this season, 1994. But he said the conversation lasted about a half an hour because neither one of them wanted to raise the subject. And finally, they were both equally relieved to know that Bjornsson was going to be a wide receiver. That's what he wanted. That's what Lambright wanted. But neither one wanted to step up and say it first. And it's a wise decision by both men that he is playing wide receiver.
Whittle and O'Berry back, and this one is out of the end zone. So John Wales kicks it out of the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20 where Oregon will start. And they have not fared well when they have started in their own territory. It's an unusual stadium here, Autzen Stadium. Built back in 1967 and built right into the ground. Right beyond the seats is actually earth. It's a bowl built into the ground.
Yeah, they used all the material from around here at a cost of only $2.5 million. It's hard to believe you can get a structure like this built for that little amount of money.
Press box these days for $2.5 million. Here's the give to Dino Filial. At the line of scrimmage, Steve Hoffman was there first. Hoffman, a junior out of San Jose. This is a defense that, throughout the years has been aggressive. This year playing quite a bit of man-to-man in the backfield and taking some chances. They'll bring 8 up to the line of scrimmage and force you to make the play.
Well, you saw Lawyer Malloy motioning there. I mean, they can do it because they have a great secondary. They have 2 corners who can cover. The safeties run very well. Ink Aliaga's limping off the field. Looks like he got a lower leg injury, maybe an ankle.
He had a broken leg last year and only played half the season, a hamstring injury this year. And when he is healthy, they love him at Washington. Just struggled with the injuries. A loss of 2 on that play, 2nd and 12. Here's O'Neal. Out to his tailback, and Filial drops the football.
Okay, sure.
He may have heard footsteps.
Yeah.
Danny O'Neal last year, 3,222 yards. One of 4 quarterbacks in Pac-10 history to throw for over 3,000 yards in a season. And this year with just over 700 yards coming into this game. And we heard the quote from him earlier, a bit disappointed in his statistics at this point, but he really just wants to win, and that's what they're doing at this point. And he's had the young receiving core, the injury to his finger. O'Neal back and down at the 11. David Ritchie, who's had a whale of a game already. He got the late start from Mike Iwaliko, and he has been tremendous in the first half.
Ritchie's one of those players that's just come of age, and that's why he's playing more and more. He comes from the left side, the top side of the screen, and is able to beat through the defender. And I think O'Neal thought about throwing the ball here and realized, hey, I've turned it over and thrown interception 6 times. Let me just go down, take the sack, and we'll punt the football.
Now you have to punt out of your end zone, though. And Leon Neal back at the 50-yard line to receive it. And another good kick from Matt Belvin. But Neal with room. Still on his feet to the near sideline and brought down at the 31-yard line. Chad Cota made the hit. But another good return for the Huskies.
Well, he didn't fall down this time catching the punt, did he? This time he kept his feet and turned up a great run and sets up excellent field position for the Husky offense.
46-yard punt, but a 26-yard return for Leon Neal, the junior out of Long Beach.
Leon Neal's back and punts. He'll be taking Napoleon Kaufman's place. And what he does a great job of there, as he's hit, you can tell he didn't see Chad Cota coming, but he held on to the football. That could have been jarred loose quite easily.
1st and 10 at the 31. Here's Napoleon Kaufman. But there are flags and whistles.
No play. Penalty play before the play.
Kaufman didn't want to get the football up.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Yeah, that's been one of the problems. Jim Lambright shaking his head. They have had 2 or 3 critical penalties today.
Mark the ball.
Lambright is a disciplinarian. He bonded with this football team when they had that big win in Miami this year because he stresses conditioning, he stresses toughness, and they came through in the second half and scored 22 points in a matter of about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And from that point on, they bought his program. That's when he became the real head coach of this football team.
Huard the throw. And he's got his fullback, Richard Thomas, who cuts back to the middle and is taken down at the 26-yard line. And we will go to New York and check in with John Saunders. John?
Terry, Utah has the #1 defense in the WAC, already leading 2-0 because of a safety. Anthony Hill is picked off by Kareem Leary. 40 yards on the interception return for the touchdown. 9-0 was the lead. Anthony Hill scored on a quarterback keeper. It's now 9-7. Terry.
John, that should be a good one in the WAC, and the WAC is awfully tough. What are they?
They've never had 2 undefeated teams meet this late in the season in the WAC.
6-2 against the Pac-10, and somebody moved and somebody jumped, and there was contact. Looked like perhaps offsides on Salila Malapayai.
You know, Rich Brooks, when we talked to him, said that of all the teams he played this year, Utah was the best team.
Yeah, he did. So I think you could take those 2 teams playing too, and they would challenge for the Pac-10 title if they were in this league.
Yeah, the Pac-10, I think there was a lot of early optimism for this whole conference.
Offsides defense, contact on the center by the nose guard. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
But getting back to the Pac-10, you know, with injuries and just the way they fared outside of the conference, players and the teams aren't doing nearly as well as many had expected with the preseason prognosticators. Total yards, Washington 187, Oregon just 43, but keep in mind Oregon enjoyed excellent field position, was able to get 2 touchdowns out of those 43 yards.
2nd and 5. Here's Napoleon Kaufman again on the left side. Ahead for a few and close to a first down. There is a flag on the play once again, though. Well, a couple schools of thought as well. I mean, overall in college football, we have that buzzword parity, which is more alive than ever, and it's true within conferences. I think top to bottom, the Pac-10 stronger, but you don't have the dominant teams that you had in the past.
No, you don't, and part of that is just the 85 scholarship rule. That's gone from 115 down to 95, down 2.
Offside defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So 2 straight offsides penalties on the Ducks.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy Asher got into the neutral zone, but you were talking about, you know, the scholarships, just to finish that thought, and now they're down to 85, so you're going to have a better dissemination of talent. I think that's good for football in general, but in order to do well and to dominate, I think you're going to have more cyclical type situations where a team peaks every 3 years when all the players on scholarship are all seniors and juniors.
1st and 10 at the 16. Kaufman bounces outside, trying to get away from Sherman, and he's brought down at the 12. And I'm not sure how he even got off of the initial tackler.
Sherman went for a little bit of a ride there, didn't he, on the back of Napoleon Kaufman. As you can see now, even though he's diminutive, is a heck of a lot stronger than he was in years past. He's one of the strongest Huskies on this football team, one of the strongest 6 or 7 guys on this team. He benched 420 coming into the season.
While weighing 180 pounds.
Right, and only being 5'9". And, you know, that means he can bench press more than twice his body weight, and that's why he can take tacklers for rides like that.
Look at what he has done today. Good average. 37-yard gain on the 1 to set up the field goal. There's a throw to Bjornsson at the 2, and it's wrestled away by Herman O'Berry.
I think that ball's alive.
It sure is. They have not blown a whistle. And at the 24-yard line, we've got a rugby scrum. And we'll wait and see.
I think when O'Berry knocked it away, he thought it was incomplete. He headed out of bounds, but other players stayed alive on it. And what we're going to see is a completed pass and a fumble.
No one ever blew a whistle.
No. And it's 3rd down because the Huskies did recover.
Washington recovered the fumble, 3rd down.
Boy, what an odd play.
Again, the quick out to Bjornsson. This is a bump and run coverage, and O'Berry is a guy who was going to be questionable coming into this game, but he's a very good corner. And look how he does manage to pull that football out. Now watch O'Berry, though. He just pushes it and knocks it away. Now he's headed out of bounds. He's sort of given up.
Well, Bjornsson gave up on it too initially. He couldn't believe that was not an incomplete pass.
Yeah, keep in mind the official was behind the play and didn't see. Here's the end zone look at it again. You get a better view. The side judge, field judge are both there, and that ball is live. So it's a good play by O'Berry, even though he kind of gave up on it.
So it's 3rd down and 18 now, where they recovered the fumble to 22, and in the backfield, Huard goes down.
Oh, Derek Barnes with a great play.
Derek Barnes, the sophomore out of San Jose with a great speed, and he wasn't going to let Huard get away.
And I think Huard's a little bit shaken up as he felt he could work his way out of that arm tackle. Look, he's limping off. Might have banged his knee onto the turf. But that is a terrific effort to get Washington out of field position. Nick Aliotti is calling for timeout.
What'd you say about demonstrative?
Yeah. Hey, he's the kind of guy you'd like to play for. Now, he's getting, look, he's got to put his knee together, put his shoulder pads together. He got roughed up in this game, but Barnes came through. He's a guy that is going to play in nickel situations today, and he stepped in there and rushed the passer and did a great job getting Huard for the big loss.
Well, we have a moment on the field. Coming up, don't forget the Prudential halftime report. John Saunders will have scores and highlights from all of today's action. Plus, John will have a conversation with undefeated head coaches Terry Bowden of Auburn and Bill McCartney of Colorado, discussing the national championship picture. So we'll look ahead to that at the half. We've got 7:11 left in the half, with Oregon up 14-10. And a look at Derek Barnes and what a great play he made. 3rd and long for the Huskies, and he sent him back.
Yeah, well, the coaches said, you know, physically he's got everything he needs. He's just got to learn this defense a little bit better, and that's why they spot play him. But keep in mind, you know, when you say line up here, go get the passer, that's something the guy can understand. And I'll tell you what, Barnes really turned it loose, made a terrific play to get Washington in poor field position, get him out of field goal range. I'm curious why Aliotti called timeout. I don't know if they didn't have enough players on the field, or if they weren't quite sure what to do defensively. But it's a sort of a curious time with 7 minutes, 11 seconds left to call a timeout here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and there's no question that Lambright was going to punt this ball away and not try for the field goal. It'd be 52-53 plus. So Jeff Prince in there to punt it, and back is Herman O'Berry deep for Oregon. This one towards the sidelines, and at the 1, it's kicked back in. The official goes down.
I'll tell you what, Tony Parrish, the rover back, that's an excellent play.
He saved it, and that will be downed at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Boy, what a great play right at the stick.
Watch Tony Parrish. I mean, he's getting blocked out of bounds. No, he doesn't care. He elevates, knocks out the official. Golly, did you see how high he jumped?
He almost jumped over the official.
He did.
Take a look. He's being blocked right now, almost knocked out of bounds as he backpedals. And alley-oop right over the official.
Right. Oh, that's a little leapfrog over the official. Man, what an athlete and what a terrific play to get the defense for the Huskies. Excellent field possession here. So now Oregon, again, backed up against their goal line, has got to somehow force this football out.
At their own 2, and this is the Washington end zone. That's where the Washington fans are seated. Straight ahead, I believe that's Whittle, the tailback, and may have gained a yard. David Kilpatrick, the inside linebacker, made the stop.
But it's been field position of extremes, hasn't it? Either Oregon's backed up or they're knocking on the door for every possession so far in this game. I think, you know, I'm sure Rich Brooks would like something around, you know, the 30-ish, 40-ish sometimes. But I'm sure he also likes that plus field position at the 14, 13-yard line, too, which he had earlier.
You would imagine that Oregon would stay on the ground. The track record that O'Neill has had against Washington, the field position, and now the flag, and they may have taken too much time.
No, actually, Wilcox moved, the tight end, flinched, but oddly enough, when you're a tight end, you're allowed to do that if you reset yourself. And I'm not sure. If it's an offensive lineman, you can't do that. But as a tight end, you're allowed to move a little bit in your stance as long as you reset yourself.
Well, the ball was never snapped, right?
Right.
And you're right on the money, as a matter of fact. They're going to pick up that flag.
Yeah, it should have been a no call, especially if he drew off the defense. That's one thing, but he didn't, and he has a second to reset himself, provided nobody else is in motion or anything else. So.
And that's exactly what took place. So it's 2nd and 8 at the 4. Give to Whittle again on the left side. He gets across the 5, maybe to the 6, but that's it. Lamar Lyons, the rover back, came up to make the hit. We look at what Nebraska is doing. And Colorado, of course, that great matchup next week. ESPN game tonight. Miami with a big lead over West Virginia. That's the final now.
And Alabama trailing Ole Miss. That's no surprise. Jay Barker's brought them back against Georgia this year and against Tennessee last week. The guy just knows how to win football games for the Crimson Tide.
On 3rd and 7, again to the tailback. This time it's Filial, and he's ahead, not to the 7-yard line, maybe the 8, but well short of the first down, and Oregon's going to have to punt out of its own end zone now. Ricky Will getting a lot of work today when we did not know whether he'd be in the lineup or not. He's had the injuries, hamstring.
He has been banged up. He had 634 yards as a freshman, 284 last year as a sophomore. One thing I like about Whittle, though, 2 hands on the football. He's not going to let anybody pull it loose here down back in his own territory.
So Belden out of his own end zone. Not much pressure, and again hits a beauty. Leon Neal back to his own 44-yard line and dropped there. Josh Wilcox, the tight end, came down to make the hit. Another beautiful punt by Matt Belden, 45 yards, and a loss of 2 on the return, and Wilcox got down there quickly. Well, this kid, only a freshman. He's had a great day so far.
Punting and place kicking, when you have one player that can fulfill 2 roles like that, that's very impressive. But he has helped this field position situation that Rich Brooks had stressed so much, helped them out immensely so far in this game.
From the 43, Huard back under pressure again, and he throws it away. There was really no one out there. Richard Thomas, the only receiver anywhere near the football. Mark Schmidt on the pressure, and that has been the story today. The Oregon defense really has put a lot of pressure on Damon Huard.
Well, you know, that very easily could have been grounding. See, Huard again under siege, and this has been an impressive day by the Oregon defense. But as he throws the ball back to the other side, the only guy I saw around was Andrew Peterson. There were some other people who were far away, but that easily could have been called intentional grounding.
2nd down and 10. 4:42 left in the first half, and Huard will check off at the line of scrimmage. Looking for Janoski, who slips on the far sideline. And incomplete. The timing route thrown off because of the slip, and Herman O'Berry on the coverage.
You know, Terry, you mentioned Huard checked off, and he did because Oregon showed blitz. When he went to a max protection type pass play with only 1 or 2 receivers out, Oregon bailed out of the blitz and played zone defense, and that's why nothing materialized on that play. At the very end, you could see where the players were bailing out of there, but still, Oregon was able to get some pressure as they got some from Reggie Jordan.
Reggie Jordan and Damon Huard with some words at the end of the play, and now Huard will check off at the line of scrimmage again on 3rd down and 10.
See the backers again, though? See how they're faking up and back, and they drop out.
Out of the pocket is Huard. Looking long, he's got Janoski deep, and what a catch. Dave Janoski at the 15-yard line, maybe the 14. Herman O'Berry on the coverage, but Huard throwing on the run, and Janoski with a leaping grab.
Well, this is the old scramble rule. Janoski's a smart receiver. Herman O'Berry's very good in coverage, and he has Janoski covered here initially on this out pattern. He's in great position. But as O'Berry looks in the backfield, Janoski takes off downfield, and O'Berry can't make up the difference between the two of them. And you got to credit Huard, who threw a fabulous ball on the run to his left and hit Janoski in full stride. There he is, and now he knows he's got Janoski going deep. Look at that football he threw. That is a fabulous throw by the quarterback.
43-yard pass, and on 1st down, the fade route to the 6'5 Bjornsson, and knocked away by Jeff Sherman. Yeah, he's only 5'9".
Bjornsson almost wound up playing the tuba at the end of that play, too. But again, they're trying to get the height mismatch. Bjornsson, of course, at 6'5".
Sherman goes about 5'9", 5'10". So a natural mismatch as he comes over to try to break that one up, but he was able to do it. So it's 2nd down and 10 now. It's the 13. Take a look.
Yeah, right over there, Sherman came. And that ball, had he extended a little bit more, or maybe even dived, he might have been able to catch that football.
Definitely catchable. Here's Kaufman on the right side. Gets a yard, maybe 2. That's it. Chad Cota came up from a strong safety position to make the stop. And Kaufman, well over 50 yards, but they've made him work for those. You know, the one coming on the 37-yard run, they have bottled him up pretty well at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's the idea, is just to contain him. I mean, to try and not let him have any more 37-yard breakouts. Try and contain him as much as possible. But, you know, you can talk about game plans all day long. It's just when you have great athletes on the other side of football, it's always hard to execute those kind of game plans throughout the entire football game.
We've been in this spot before, a tough third down play coming up, but now the whistles blow, and it's going to be a timeout for Washington. They tried to get some men off the field. I believe they had too many men on the field. Bjornsson was trying to race to the sideline. They were not going to have enough time.
You know, Huard is a talented football player. He's got a little brother, Brock, who's a senior in high school. He's been writing a column for USA Today. He's one of the most sought-after high school football players. And I talked to Damon in the hotel this morning, and he said, yeah, I'm trying to recruit him into Washington, but, you know, he's looking all over the place, and he's got an awful lot of people who are very interested in him. So, you know, this family, the Huards, have produced some great athletes. And certainly Damon and Brock are two of them.
He was slightly injured on that long pass. He came off limping for a moment. Look at the yards he has put on the board so far. In Oregon, only 17, but they have been backed up deep in their own territory, except for the two great breaks that they had, the interception that gave them the ball inside the 5. But you talked to him as well, and a number of the Washington players are not feeling real well today. They've had the flu or cold, nothing that's going to keep them out of the lineup, but they don't feel like going out and taking on the world.
But, you know, football is a good sport. If it doesn't tax you or dehydrate you, when you feel lousy, it's nothing better sometimes putting on a football uniform and a helmet and banging into some people. Makes you not worry so much about your cold.
I'm not sure the average guy would agree with that, but I'll go with it. 3rd down and 9 at the 12. Kaufman, the lone set in the backfield. Huard, incomplete. The intended receiver, Janoski again, and Huard wants that one back. And he is limping. Kenny Wheaton on the coverage.
Again, Nick Aliotti came with the blitz, and although Huard had enough time to get rid of the football, he didn't have the time to gum off his primary receiver. And you'll see from the left side of your screen, there's two people coming, only one blocker. And the running back actually did a good job of trying to get both of them, but Huard can only go to his primary receiver in that situation. He has no time to look to his second receiver.
So Wales in for a 29-yard field goal attempt. He's already hit one today. And right down the middle. So John Wells with another field goal on the board. And the Huskies get to within 1. Oregon leads at 14-13 here with 3:19. You look at John Wales splitting the uprights and a beautiful Oregon sky. Well, you know, we have talked about the Oregon defense at this point. They've given up 13 points. However, they have stopped Washington a number of times on their drives, made them kick the 2 field goals. And, you know, Nick Aliotti talked about it yesterday. What he was concerned about was the size of the offensive line. His defense is not that big. He was going to have to do some different things and take some chances.
Yeah, he was. And the key to that for him, and it's worked pretty well so far today, is to have success on first down. And that's an adage for any defensive coordinator. If you can stop a team on first down, then you can start to dictate what you want them to do offensively. And you saw in that last play that set up the field goal, you know, 3rd and longer situation, that he's allowed to blitz, and he sets up what he wants out of the offense. Huard could only go to one receiver and had to get rid of the football.
Well, Kaufman had a 37-yard run, but he's had 8 rushes and only 1. That 37-yard run has been over 5 yards. Wales kicks it off, and Herman O'Berry watches it go out of the end zone.
Kick goes out of the end zone for the touchback.
They'll bring it out to the 20, and with 3:19 left here in the first half, Oregon will take over with a 1-point lead.
And Oregon has to run the football, and they've been able to have a few successful plays. But this Oregon passing offense with Danny O'Neill behind the helm right there coming into the game hasn't even been able to get over the 100-yard mark in 3 of the last 4 games. And the one game they did, Tony Graziani was playing quarterback. That was against USC. Graziani's a backup quarterback, and he's injured today, so we won't see him in the game. He's got a real bad ankle.
Yeah, Ryan Perry-Smith now the backup quarterback. You know, Philyaw tries the left side, and a flag is thrown as he comes out to the 27-yard line. And threw the flag at the 18.
And I think that's going to be Josh Wilcox again, called for the flag, number 90, as he's trying to check with the official. But he seemed to have a vice grip on the outside linebacker on that play. And, you know, with the Oregon offense, the way it's working so far today, it's very difficult for them to get 10 yards. Here, right at the bottom of your screen, you'll see number 90. And actually, he was split out wide. Now, watch number 90, Wilcox, on the left side. Now, it's too late. But you have to trust me on this one, folks.
You, John.
Please trust. As a tight end who held all the time, I recognize it.
And you're hard on those tight ends, I'll tell you. So that'll send them back.
See, and Oregon has trouble getting 10 yards in 3 downs. Now they have to go 20 again, you know, backed up against their goal line. It's going to be difficult for them because they just don't have the weapons. The guy I think they really missed the most is that Christian McLemore, who had 10 touchdowns last year and 50 receptions.
Yeah, over 50 catches, and he is out for the time being. Here's Phil in the backfield going nowhere, and he's dropped at the 4-yard line. Well, that's the thing. When you're backed up that far, as Deke Devers celebrates after hitting Phil on the backfield, you don't have the confidence to throw, right now at least, if you're Danny O'Neill. What's happened before against Washington, the field position you have, and you're kind of boxed into your running game. And that's when Washington can kind of pin their ears back and just go after you.
Yeah, and screens have been a real big part of their passing game this year. One of the more successful plays for them, but it's hard to screen down in this territory of the field because you've got to put the quarterback in a position where he could wind up having a safety.
And O'Neill's going to throw long for Pat Johnson. He's out there and just overthrown. And there was some contact about the 30-yard line as Johnson tried to break down the sideline. And that may have thrown him off his route. Reggie Reeser on the coverage.
That's not a bad idea, though. You got a guy like Johnson with that kind of speed, and he did have a step or two on the defender. But the ball was just overthrown by O'Neill, and now they have to reset.
Love to see him break one. You know, the 10-1-6 speed. Take a look at O'Neill throwing it down the sideline, and right before that there was some contact, and Johnson just can't get to the ball. So it's 3rd down and 25 at the Ducks' own 5-yard line. O'Neill will throw again. Maybe not. Still on his feet. Man, what out to the 15. O'Neill with an elusive run out to the 15-yard line.
That's a courageous run by him as he was able to make 3 or 4 Washington defenders miss him.
Donovan Schmidt finally made the tackle.
But every time you see a runner of any type delay like that, you know that the cavalry's coming from behind. And, you know, here he makes Steve Hoffman miss. And then he makes, I think it was Donovan Schmidt who missed there, Richie Chambers, 32. But finally, there come the recruits from behind, and he's knocked down again. Doing a good job of holding on to the football, though.
Well, he gained 10, but he had 25 to go. And here's Belden in the punt again. He's been terrific today. This one, not so. It's a low punt. Now let it roll to the 47-yard line. Neal thought about going to get that football and then thought better of it. So a 39-yard punt by Belden. He's kicked a 57-yarder, a 48-yarder, and now the shorter of the 3. There's a guy in high school who averaged 48+ per punt. He did that in high school and kicked 5 field goals of 50 yards or more in high school. One of the reasons he can step in as a freshman and take over those duties. So 1:32 left in the first half. 1st down and Washington's own 46. And Hewitt to the air. Under pressure, and he'll go down in the backfield. Mark Slyman got there first. And Reggie Jordan was there as well.
Yeah, that must be the, oh, you know, this is the Condor defense. We heard the different defenses that Nick Aliotti likes to use. And the Condor, of course, being the big bird.
Well, you got the Condor, the Falcon, the Duck. Good on the delay to Kaufman, looking for room. And now find some. To the 42, the original line of scrimmage was the 46. So that'll bring up 3rd and about 14. We're going to bounce outside, Jeff.
Yeah, he has absolutely no room here. And this reminds me of the run he made against UCLA, which went for 79 yards, where he had no room, and he takes it outside, and that's where he's most dangerous. But, again, Oregon doing a great job of containing him this afternoon.
3rd and 14. Huard overthrows Dave Janoski, and they'll have to punt it away. So 3 and out for Oregon. They took over with 1:32 left in the first half. Now 24 seconds. Jeff Sherman on the coverage for Oregon, and we've called his name a lot so far.
Sherman has been all over the football field today. Isn't that interesting? You know, and his father talked to him, as you said. You know, his father played here at Oregon, but his father talked to him about the difficulties of being a walk-on. And he said, you know, this isn't easy for you to come out and play football and be a walk-on. It's going to be horrible. People are going to be beating up on you all the time. But, boy, you got to credit a kid like that just for hanging in there.
You've got to love this sport if you're going to do that for 4 years. Because now he has a scholarship. Here's Herman O'Berry, and he is down at his own 18-yard line. But a good sign for Oregon just is having O'Berry in the game today. 41-yard kick, no return.
Scott Estrop.
With 16 seconds left in the first half. Now here's a guy who led the Pac-10 in interceptions a couple of years ago and missed all of last year with an ankle injury. And this year has had the bum knee. And we talked to him during practice on Thursday. He did not know whether he'd have the pads on today.
Yeah, week to week, and it's right up to game time. And, you know, that's got to be able to, doesn't help his execution and timing at all on the football field, but he's such a great athlete that he's been able to step up, step in the game, say, yeah, I feel fine, go out there and play. And, you know, he's done an outstanding job here playing today. You remember the one pass he broke up on Eric Bjornsson, which was actually ruled a fumble. So he's great in coverage so far. And here we have another false start. Willie Reif.
Yeah.
A little over anxious there in that pass set. And
penalty on the play.
Willie Reif, the left tackle.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So what do you do now? You've got 16 seconds. Do you go ahead and take a shot before halftime, or do you
I wouldn't.
One knee?
No, not at this point. I mean, Rich Brooks right now, he's very happy to win ugly. And with a 14-13 lead, he's getting certainly the total offense has got to be way in favor of Washington. But keep the football on the ground, go into halftime. He's very happy to have a 1-point lead at this point.
And that was Dino Filiaw running into Incaliaga. As time runs out here in the first half, Rich Brooks got to be pleased with the way his defense has played. The Ducks lead it 14-13. Back to Autzen Stadium in a moment.
College football.